Brent McMahon, we're going to be able to hook up twice in the same 6 weeks after your great race in Caledon, getting ready for your first Ironman of 2020. Talk about being down in Florida late in the season.
Yeah, after a really strange start to the year with no racing and spring, summer with no events, doing some virtual events online and, a lot of racing indoors even. It's finally nice this fall to have a couple of races to, put the training towards and focus on. And so after the Canadian Pro Championships in September, it's fun to now line up on an Ironman event and look forward to Ironman Florida here in Panama City Beach.
It's hard for me to believe you are 40 years of age, having watched well over a quarter of a century of your race. Part of our questions, how do you keep that motivation going for, such a long time? We've got some athletes, struggle to get through their 2-year block or maybe a 4-year block to get ready for Olympics, whatever. You've had, 6 of those blocks and then some. What's the secret?
I think the secret for me was like keeping things interesting. I always, throughout those blocks, broke it up with some different racing. I did Xterra racing for a couple of years after the Athens Olympics. Then, after Beijing and I'm not competing at that games, I went and did some non-drafting racing, did some more Xterra. And then again, towards around London, I also did some long course racing. And, so throughout this long years of Olympic racing and just all that training, I was able to mix up. I was able to get on a mountain bike, time trial bike, road bike. So for me, that really broke up all those years and kept things interesting and new challenges.
One of the questions, when you go longer, are you able to come back, or because you've been able to kind of keep bouncing from long distance race back to an Xterra, back to Olympic distance, you never have gotten that far away from speed? Because sometimes we see guys when they finally move to long distance, they never come back. And yet you were so competitive at that Olympic distance race in Caledon 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think you definitely, it's a little bit, with age, you also lose some of your speed. That's inevitable. So I'm definitely not as fast as I was, when I was 20, but I'm also stronger than I was when I was 20. So the all out, speed maybe isn't there, but over a shorter distance race, I can actually make up for that lack of really high end speed by maintaining the strength and the durability that I have now. And so it's been really interesting to go back and do some shorter races and really kind of test that theory of, does strength actually convert to speed and power, and does endurance help you all the way through the race? And it really has, because I've even gone back and done some super sprint racing with the Super League triathlon, and I held my own with all those young guys, still racing, ITU, short course, sprint distance, and I wasn't leading the race, but I was definitely in the thick of it.
What are some of the secrets that you've had to, either by trial or error or great wisdom from your coach, Lance Watson? What are some of the things you've had to modify or change as you've aged that, I could do this at 22, couldn't do it at 32, and wouldn't want to be trying it at 40? Like, are there a few of those things you've had to modify?
Yeah, definitely. As I've gotten older, we've focused more on strength because we know that's going to be more beneficial to the racing I'm doing. With the Ironman racing and, long hours on the bike, when you're focusing just on speed, strength is important, but you still need to constantly work on that speed. So it's been a slow evolution away from, 2 speed workouts a week on the run and the bike to really, I do maybe 1 speed workout. And even then it's not full on speed like it used to be. Running, and then 1 sort of speed workout on the bike. So I've really dialed back the speed work because it does beat me up, and I just don't recover from it as quickly. But I have increased the strength work, which I can actually handle better and actually get more out of.
When you say strength, are you talking about the type of the workout itself, or using weights and plyometric type things and tubing? What do you mean when you're talking about strength?
Yeah, it's actually a combination of both. So, at different points in the season, obviously earlier in the season, we're putting gym weights in. So squats and deadlifts and, actually in a gym, pushing the weight around. But then once we get more into the start of the race season, we sort of dial that back a bit and we then do more specific work, like on the bike, strength work there. So that's something like doing overgear hill repeats where you're just really mashing the gears. On the run, we do a lot of hill repeats on the run. So we'll do like a long tempo, 5 or 8K tempo, and then we'll end that with 5 by 3 minutes of hill repeats. So very strength, very power orientated training in each discipline. And then as we get towards a race, that's when we kind of pull all of that back and we work on just efficiency.
My 17, 18-year-olds can eat about 6,000 calories, a day and are rick thin. I mean, you've obviously always had a fairly ectomorphic body, but have you found that your metabolism has changed, from 18 to 25 to 35, or are you still able to eat everything you want and never have to worry about putting on a kilo?
Yeah, no, as long as I'm training for an Ironman, it's just eat as many calories as I can. Definitely, off season, the beer and donuts gets on real quick. So I actually pay a little bit more attention to my diet. Not necessarily through the race and training season, but through the off season, just so that I'm not putting on as much weight. Although I do try and put weight on in the off season, I think it's really important to actually fatten up a little bit in your off season because your body needs that fat and the nutrients and everything to help you repair from a season of racing. And that's something else that I feel is really given me that ability, and the longevity in my career is really truly taking an off season and actually just stopping and having fun, taking a break from training, no goal setting, just giving your mind, giving your body, everything a break. And, because then when I come out of that, I actually feel refreshed and I feel like I haven't just pushed myself all year for another year. I actually got to shut down and have a good time for a while.
How important are things like sleep and, that sleep, nutrition, massage? Talk about that kind of, the non-training component to allow you to stay at 40 still as one of the best in the world.
Well, yeah, it's definitely it's become more and more and more important as I've gotten older. Your body's just not as durable as it used to be. The training I used to do, or the intensity and the muscle damage that you can create when you're 25, you can recover in a day or two. If I go and do a hard track session, where you're up on your toes doing 400s and 800s, it's going to take me 3-4 days to truly recover from that. And so for me, that means basically twice a week I'm getting soft tissue work from my chiropractor, my physio. I'm getting 1 massage a week. Then I'm doing all my rolling, eating properly in between workouts. It's become so much more important because there's just less of everything in my body. So those things, they're almost as important, if not more important, than the actual training sometimes. Like the other day, I sent Lance a message the night before swim practice, and I said, you know what, if I don't get 8 hours, I'm not showing up to the pool. And I just turned the alarm off, and I needed the 8 hours of sleep. And so he's like, yep, whatever you need to do to recover, that's more important right now. And, so for me, that's for sleep wise, I'm an 8-hour guy. It's got to log the 8 hours. If I don't, I try and make it up. But, usually napping is not as good for me as just getting a good solid 8 hours.
Johnny, you got any questions? I know there's been a few coming in for Brent.
I'm glad that was a great segue, actually, Brent. We have a question here from Kylan. It's all on actually swimming, and it's got a few phases to it. How has your swimming changed as you've aged? Are you faster, slower, better technique, worse technique? And what are you doing differently in the water over this extended career?
Yeah, so swimming's an interesting one because it is the sport that you can continue to push and work really hard at because it's not weight bearing. So no matter your age, swimming is one that you can just keep working hard at. You don't need to sort of balance, how much, intensity or, obviously cardiovascular, if you're fatigued, you can't push as hard. But as far as pushing your muscles and stuff like that, I've always been able to do the swimming I've wanted to do. That said, my training has changed, but it actually changed quite a long time ago. Basically going into the London Olympics, sort of the 2-3 years before the London Olympics, I started swimming with an open water swim coach, Ron Jacks, who actually coached Richard Weinberger to the silver medal at the 10K open water. And so once I started working with him, my swim evolved and my stroke sort of evolved with it. At that time, I was still maintaining my speed from sort of my youth and ITU racing. But then once I got through London, I then more focused on my strength and relaxed ability to swim because, when you're swimming, obviously 10K, those races, obviously they're long, but they also end really intensely. So you have to conserve yourself. And so it's very similar to training for a 4K Ironman swim, where it's not necessarily all about speed. It's about how efficiently you can swim the 4K. So my stroke evolved and my training evolved to become really relaxed and really strong through 4K. So I really did lose a lot of my speed once I did that. That said, I could also, instead of swimming 28s and 29s for 50s, well, now I can only swim 31s, but I could do probably 20 or 30 of them in a row on short rest. So it's a different look at speed. It's more speed endurance. And when you're racing Ironman, that's what's really important.
No athlete has done more sub-8-hour Ironman races in their early part of their long-distance career. You're that man. What's your expectations going into to Florida this weekend?
Yeah, this course is pancake flat, pretty much swim, bike, and run. We might get a little wave if a storm's coming in for the swim, but essentially, yeah, the bike and the run is just totally flat. The run course and the bike course, they've changed, but the run course especially, and it's basically 10K out, 10K back, do it again, and just straight flat road. So it's definitely a fast course, and it's certainly one that I would like to hit another sub-8 on. I feel like I can, and it would be pretty awesome to knock off a sub-8-hour Ironman at the age of 40.
Well, your fans in Canada and across the world will be sending some good luck this weekend, and we thank you for tuning in, and good luck as you get ready for the start of your next phase of your career, because I'm sure we're going to be seeing you racing in your 40s, not just at 40.
Yeah, exactly. Looking forward to it.
Thanks, buddy. Have a great night.
All right. Thank you.